What would you do if you were in line to inherit $28 billion dollars and the only thing standing between you and that were seven living relatives? This question is answered in How to Make a Killing. It's the new film out directed by John Patton Ford. This dark comedy starring Glen Powell and Margaret Qualley takes a look at a man stopping at nothing to have the life he deserves. Welcome to the Grab Some Popcorn podcast. Your host, Jared Emanuel, here to do a movie review for you. And as stated, we're talking about How to Make a Killing. So let's just get right into it.
All right.
So to give a quick rundown of the plot, this movie is starring Glen Powell. He's playing Beckett Redfellow. All right. He's raised by his mother. They're working class. They're living in New Jersey. And she's a member of this like really elite, rich family, the Redfellows. In the movie it's shown that she was basically like shunned away from the family because she kept a teen pregnancy. But because of some trust fund that they had, Beckett is in line to inherit some of the money from the family at some point. It's just, as stated, he has all these relatives.
And he's like last in line.
Yeah, he's last in line, and some of the, relatives are fairly young. So it's like, it would be without, the whole murder plot, it would be a very long time before he inherited any of that money. Like, he essentially could never.
He might have not inherited anything.
But basically what's going on is, so when he's younger, he's like going to school and he meets this girl at the school. Her name is Julia Steinway. And eventually, when they get older, that's who Margaret Qualley plays. But as they're young, they have a little friendship and they like each other and, yada, yada. But eventually his mom passes away. So he starts to see the girl less and he pretty much just fades into obscurity and his life goes on. And, his mother's telling him, make sure you never give up. Like on her deathbed, she's telling him, make sure you never give up. Make sure that you live the life that you deserve. And she's just leaving him those words that basically left a mark on him. Not
like
a mark.
God sort of guided him to.
Yeah, guiding him to be who he was. And, on top of that, he lost the relationship with Julia. So, that sucks. And he just basically grows up and he's, eventually he's like working he's like working in a clothing store. So, it's obvious he lost a lot of the status that he had while his mother was still alive. And he's just like a regular working class guy now. And one day Julia comes in, as they're adults now. So this is like Glen Powell and Margaret Qualley playing the roles. So they're adults now. And Julia comes in and she recognizes him. And, obviously she hasn't lost her status. She's married to a wealthy man. And Beckett is feeling embarrassed about it. And that's like the crux of the beginning pretty much. So eventually he starts to work in finances because he comes up with he's like pondering about how he can track this inheritance to him.
Remember, no, he only started working in finance after the first death in the family, after his first kill. So he had to kill someone in order to make the move from working in that clothing store to working in that financial firm. Like, remember, he only moved up because he killed someone.
That is true, yeah. So he does his first kill and he eventually starts working in finance and he realizes that the person that hired him is one of the people that he has to kill. But because things have gotten so sweet at the job and he's working his way up, it's like he puts that one on the back burner and he starts to go after, all the other members of the family until he has to get to that point. But that's basically the crux of the movie. He's going through each and every family member, taking them out one by one, and not only attracting the eyes of the FBI, but he eventually starts attracting the eyes of Julia, who eventually comes to him in need of help, and we'll get to that. But all right, so just tell me real quick, Emmanuel, what was the best thing about this movie? What do you think?
So for me, what I liked most about the movie, I liked how they took us through the journey of him killing each one of his family members, kind of gaining something along the way. It focuses on how he killed them rather than like the drama that happened beforehand that they underwent. And this made it more exciting and suspenseful. If most movies would, they would like show an argument and then show maybe a fist fight and then show some other drama. And there would have been like a whole bunch of drama. This movie, he just kind of like comes in. They're like, okay, in order to get this inheritance, I need to kill these 10 people. There's like this list that pops up on screen and is taking you through each and every kill. So it's not like it's not dramatic. It's not like a long drawn out story. This is actually a very like, hop in and it gets exciting real quick type of deal.
Yes, and I agree. For me, that was the best part of the movie for sure. The story was really good. Like I felt really engaged into the story. I thought Glen Powell did a great job with this role. He kind of had like a very melancholy type attitude, and it was just really good. I thought that the narration really helped you get into his mind for sure and helped you stay engaged in the story. In the beginning, it was a little bit slow for me, like when they were kids, but then when the movie like really started to move forward and they were adults, and like I saw that the narration was going to be a long part, like a whole part of the movie, because I thought they were just going to do it in the beginning. But
Yeah, I was kind of like for the beginning, since you're talking about the beginning, I just wanted to mention that I liked the beginning because it showed how, he's like just like works in this clothing store. He's not even like the manager. I think he's just like a regular employee, just like folds the clothes and stuff. It was really not a glamorous job. And then the girl walks in. I don't want to butcher her name. I'm going to call her Margaret. When she walks in, and like you could tell, she's wearing like some sort of like Gucci, Versace ensemble. Just her outfit alone is like five.
yeah, you can tell she's rich.
You can tell she's rich. That's right. And she walks in and he's like this lonely employee in a clothing store. And it does a good job of kind of setting it up to where, he's jealous. He's like, why does this girl drive, a foreign car? She's probably worth several $1,000,000. And I'm out here, working a job, probably barely making 30 grand a year. Like it sets it up perfectly for what he does. Cause just seeing her kind of probably triggered that whole, the episode.
And the last time he saw her, he had really strong feelings for her. So I'm pretty sure all those feelings came rushing back, and like him being embarrassed. And it's cool crazy because her character like drops a lot of subtle hints. Like she's aware that um he's getting the inheritance, because he says it when he's a kid. When they were kids, he tells her that he's in line to get some money, but I don't really think at that age he really even understood how anything worked, and neither did she, but they just both understood that he was in line to get a lot of money. And like throughout the movie, like she just makes a lot of references to that, or how he needs to like make a killing and stuff like that. She just does a lot of those line drops, basically foreshadowing that she knows what's going on. So yeah, two of those two things, like Margaret Qualley and Glen Powell, they had great chemistry in this movie.
Yeah, they worked. You're right. They worked.
Yeah.
I think there wasn't it didn't seem weird at all. It seemed, I'm going to say 100% natural, but they did real good.
And they didn't even have a lot of screen time together, which made it even better. So like anytime you saw them on the screen, you were definitely locked into what was going on because it moved the plot. So, all right. So what was the best scene of the movie for you? What did you think?
I know this one right off the bat. I liked when he took the photo studio. He was in that photo studio. He like mixes up some chemicals, mixes up some powder, does something. And then he just like walks out of the building and he's like, and you can see the whole entire, like, not just the photo studio, but the whole darn building like exploded, right? Remember that explosion? That was like definitely the coolest kill of the movie for me and also the best scene.
Nice. All right. For me, the best scene I would say was his first kill when he was on the boat, just because like the narration that went on during the kill, it kind of like really just puts you in his head and how nervous he was. And he was so nervous, he wound up dropping the anchor. And because what he did was he took a jet ski out to a boat where one of his relatives was, who was too drunk, passed out. And there were other people on the boat, but they were all passed out. And he tied the anchor around his foot, and you could just like feel how nervous he was. And even like when it was done, he said something like because he was talking to I forgot to tell you, well, I forgot to drop this also, like the narration comes into play because the way the movie starts, like it kind of starts at the end. So you see that he's in jail and he's set to be executed, and he's talking to a priest. So that's where like the whole narration comes in. He's talking to a priest, telling his story and how he ended up. So like after he dropped the anchor on the first kill, he says something like, "Oh, if it gave you tingle down your spine, then like you're more like me than you think." And it's just like the way he just delivered the lines and everything. It just really puts you in that moment with him, and it kind of does give you that spine tingling chill, like he just committed murder and then hopped on the jet ski and got right out of there. So that was the best scene for me. Uh, Moving on to the strengths of this movie. Like we already mentioned, Glen Powell, he's great in the movie. Margaret Qualley is great as well. He really brings the narration to life, and it keeps you engaged. I thought he did a great job with the role. There's some really funny moments in this movie. It's definitely comedic. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mhm.
So I thought that was great. What were some strengths for you?
Okay, so I think it had a good formula for suspense, like before a climactic kill, and then you get a good follow through for each family member. So the movie, it took you for like a fun ride. The drama between both the girls added an easy thing to follow, but I guess it was an interesting element because yeah, you can see like he likes the one girl, but then the other girl he can't ignore the other girl because she's would literally put him in jail.
When you say, so you're talking about Margaret Qualley, and then the other girl is the one he ended up with that he took from his cousin. That's the other girl, right?
Well, right, that was the girl who was like his quote girlfriend, and then Margaret's character was the one who he couldn't ignore because she had info on him that could get him arrested. So, but these like he had to be balancing this. He couldn't not balance that situation. And also the science behind each kill showed some sort of like military or combat experience because no normal person knows like these ways to kill people, and that made a
Chemicals.
yeah, the chemicals and the explosions and the whole like poisons and stuff that he used, that made it super interesting too.
That is interesting. I wonder how he knew those things. It isn't really like,
Yeah, that's no clothing store and work.
like I wasn't understanding how he knew that. What were some of the weaknesses of the movie?
So weaknesses for me, they told the story from him in a jail cell, and that's been done before, but it didn't ruin anything for me. I might have had him like reporting up to someone to make it like a more military sounding, or I mean, it wasn't really realistic not to get caught in the end or get off on a technicality of whatever the notes said. So basically, at the end, what happened was he got off on a technicality, and spoiler warning, he got off on a technicality, right? He's in jail. The whole movie, I'm sitting here, yeah, he's gonna like get executed for something like that. Anyway, he gets off on a technicality because of Margaret's character had a note, and we never find out what the note said. So I wanted to know what was in the note, and it left us like in a dramatic cliffhanger. And I'd like to know what actually happened in the movie. That kind of left me kind of like with this huge empty feeling. That was one of the things I really wanted to see, what was in that note and how he got off.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree for sure. Like, because you asked me when we got out of the movie, like, why, like, what's keeping this movie from getting a higher score? And I think a lot of the plot holes for sure. I mean, the note, us not knowing what was in the note, us not really knowing, like, how he had the knowledge of all, the science behind some of the kills.
Yeah.
and there was something else. I mean, the FBI, I don't understand how they couldn't piece that together. I mean, it was just a lot of plot holes in the story for sure that went on that made that, were a little bit weak for me.
Yeah, I would have just liked it to be more, the story to be more, but dot the I's and cross the T's, as they say. Kind of like if you put like a story element, like a note, make sure that you build up the note. Yeah, make sure it's clear what
Clear to the audience
what my note.
what is going on. Don't just say, "Oh, we're gonna release a note," and now he's free and he's out. And yeah, I didn't really like that.
Yeah, and just make sure to if you introduce an element, don't just have it kind of in midair. That's what I think was stopping this movie from me giving it an A.
Yeah, and I don't like how they, the traditional, "Oh, I bet you're wondering how I got here," like to start the movie off like that, because I mean, essentially they did clean it up in the end because, she gets him out, but most of the movie you're looking at it like, well, I know he's going to get caught because he's in jail. Now, of course, they had the little bit more twist at the end where, Julia, who was Margaret Qualley, Julia, coming through and getting him out. But it's just like, it just gets a little underwhelming because the whole time you're watching the movie, you're just anticipating when he's going to be caught or how. And then the way he's caught, like, he doesn't even get caught for any of the murders for the family. He gets caught for a murder he didn't even commit.
Right, which was like, I mean, are they trying to say that the justice system is corrupt? Like they could have built up on that as well. Like there could have been, just maybe an extra 1 minute or two to build up each one of the, to build something up. They focused very primarily on, he meets the people, bam, within one day, but like that day, that very like boom, he kills them. They don't go into any of the planning on how he killed. There could be a little bit more planning, maybe a little bit more, little bit like they just really he got in, met the people, and killed him. There could have been like a little bit more, it's just between like very chill, like hi, how are you doing, and then bam, he kills him. There could be, maybe put a day or two of research in there for one of the kills. You know what I mean? Like don't make every single one like you know what I'm saying? Like this bull was like spec ops, like fucking like super professional because he started off as a clothing like store representative.
Exactly. But overall, though, I will say that this movie exceeded my expectations. It didn't blow me away, but I was definitely into the movie, and I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely recommend watching this movie. You don't have to rush to the theater to watch it. You could definitely watch it on streaming, but I will say it exceeded expectations for sure. What about you?
I'll say I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think the jail part of it could have been done differently. Like I've seen the whole jail story talking to a priest thing done before, but it was done well enough not to, that wasn't what bothered me the most. Like overall, it was really good. They did a good job in the beginning showing how he was having a hard time. And so him being in jail, like, it's not like life for him, life didn't start going perfectly afterwards either. So that kind of got that point across well. But I didn't understand also why in that first kill, like the guy who drowned in the beginning, why he couldn't just untie himself. Like that kill was super like accidental / like unsure of yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, he's getting dragged by an anchor and he didn't realize it either. So I'm pretty sure anybody would have died. Like, especially when you're drunk, like he was incapacitated pretty much. There was no way he wouldn't have been able to react or anything to that. Like, but that's kind of how he got caught, because even Julia was saying how the guy had died. It's just like the FBI was stupid. Like if they look, how does Margaret Qualley's character know that it's strange this man died in a drowning incident when he went to school for swimming? Like they just made the FBI stupid. I don't, this guy should have been caught. Like honestly, maybe after like the first kill, but okay, the second kill, he was over there at the house.
They could have like showed, like they literally, like the FBI showed up to like give him his kind of reward for each kill. You know, and they could have showed up to like at least ask some more questions or something. But look, it's a strong movie, dude. 8.5 out of 10.
Let me ask you a question though, because
I don't want to like make it sound bad when it was.
at one point in the movie when he's talking to the priest is like, you could have stopped this. He had the financial job, he had the girlfriend who he stole from his cousin, but okay, he has the girlfriend, he's got the financial job, he's got a nice place. He got greedy. He didn't need to keep doing this. Like, do you think he could have stopped, or do you think he made a mistake? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that's another thing is that each time, each kill that he went, he ended up like, first he got a better job, then he got the girl, then he got a new like apartment, then he eventually like, yeah, so you're saying, you know, like technically if it was me, yeah, dude, I would have stopped. Like, I wouldn't want to go all the way, kill grandpa, freaking try to inherit the whole $28 billion dynasty. I would have, you know what I'm saying? If I was him, I would have like tried to
Laid low.
yeah, just lay
Could have
low.
been fine.
Yeah.
And then he got messed up in a whole swirl with Margaret, which that whole like relationship is crazy because they both loved each other, and then he got older and realized she was crazy and realized he didn't want to be with her. That whole thing was crazy. Like, I think Margaret Qualley, she needs like some sort of nomination for that role because I really enjoyed that part of the movie.
Yeah, it was so, no, they played so well together. Like you could, like she was, they did a really great job. That they all did a great job. Like it wasn't the acting, you know what I mean? It's, if I hadn't have seen, if just what I mentioned, like if I hadn't have seen some of the stuff in this movie that I've seen before, like the whole jail priest thing and the whole,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If it just could build up the little side stories a bit, don't leave too much hanging, dot the T's, you cross those I's, this movie would be a total A. Like it's just, it lacked what it made up for in excitement and suspense. It lacked for in a little bit of depth and a little bit of like,
Yeah.
just like build up a little bit of the stories a little bit more. They kind of like cut those like real short, but that's the only thing stopping it from giving me an A. Obviously 8.5 out of 10. That's a good movie.
All right. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this review. Be sure to check out How to Make a Killing. It's in theaters now, or it'll be in streaming soon, I'm sure. But be sure to check it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought of the review. Let us know what you thought of the movie. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Over and out.